All right, welcome to the Krug Show. After the Rams beat the Niners, man, the Rams looked really, really good. So did Mac Jones. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go. All right, we get it rolling on the Krug Show after Niner football. Welcome. Brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. We're brought to you by Habbas Law. We'll talk more about them in a bit. But, guys, 49ers lose to the Rams. And, man, I wanted the 49ers to hang in this game. I wanted the 49ers to win this game. I wanted to see them get to 7-3 and sweep the Rams, but it wasn't in the cards. And, the 49ers had to have, I talked a lot about this throughout the week, that the Rams could win anyway. The Rams could win, with a lead. The Rams could win coming from behind. The Rams could win falling into a 14-0 hole. The Rams could win getting out to a 14-0 lead. I mean, the Rams had a bunch of different ways they could win because of the talent they have on their roster. The Niners had to have the golden trip. They needed the perfect trip. They needed to get out to a lead. They needed to win the turnover battle. They needed a lot of things to go right for them. They were not going to be able to play from behind. And sure enough, immediately the Rams get the ball first. They drive down. They score a touchdown. The Niners go 3 and out. The Rams get it again. They drive down. They score a touchdown, and the Niners are in a 14-0 hole. Then JJ fumbles. Rams, get a field goal out of it at that point. Or no, they get another touchdown to make it 21-0, and then it was 21-7. And the 49ers made it 21-14 with the score in the third quarter, but they can never stop the Rams. They could never. And, for those people who were like, why were you getting so upset that the 49ers didn't make a move at the trade deadline? Because they have no pass rush, because they can't affect the quarterback, because they can't make the quarterback move off of his spot. And without that, you're just going to, against the better quarterbacks, you're just going to be cannon fodder. And that's what happened. I mean, Matthew Stafford dropped back to pass 36 times. They sacked him one time. I think they hit him 2 or 3 times all day. So they didn't, you're not affecting the quarterback. He threw for four touchdowns last time. He threw for 4 touchdowns this time. 24 of 36, 280, 4 touchdowns. They didn't stop Kyron Williams. He ran for, I think, over 6 yards a carry on that first drive. Really, I mean, it was the 49er defense didn't have any answers. The 49er offense, I mean, 26 points against the number 1 defense. Mac Jones completed 85% of his passes against the number 1 defense in the league with a killer defensive line. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think, the offense is starting to get it together. The special teams are starting to get it together, but the defense, while that's happened, has lost some key cogs. They didn't get help at the trade deadline, and now they're going to have to kind of, figure out a way to get to the finish line. They're leaning on Robert Saleh. They're going to lean heavily on a number of their key veteran defenders, but I mean, they just didn't. No rush. One sack all day. The Niners did have 5 hits on the quarterback. I'll give the Niner offensive line credit in this game. They didn't allow Mac Jones to be sacked, and Jones was hit only once all day. So he looked really, really good, but it's a loss. It's not a devastating loss. The Rams go to 7-2, 49ers go to 6-4. All of their goals are still in front of them. It's just that they're defensively so diminished from what they were that, Huff was back today and he was pretty good, but and he had, I think, 3 of the, if they had 5 hits on the quarterback, he probably had 3 of them. But it just wasn't nearly enough. I mean, 49ers did what they did. They scored, roughly 4 touchdowns, and the Rams, hung almost half 100 on them. So it's just, it's not a very good defense without Bosa and without Warner. And, you can't, what are you going to do? I mean, you can sit there and try and, you can hope, but it's, bottom line is you got to have the pieces, and they don't have the pieces right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough loss for sure. I feel like There was a couple things that we learned from this game, if you didn't already think it. One, just offensively, the Niners can hang, I think, with almost any team. I mean, the Houston Texans game was the formula how to beat the Niners, get after Mac Jones, just dominate the offensive line. But after watching this game, I feel very confident in the 49ers offense. They were able to drive down the field and score and pretty much hang with this team, even though they probably never should have hung with them from the get-go. Another thing that we learned is there's absolutely no pass rush on this team. There's just none. It's non-existent. It was, say whatever you want to say about the 49ers pass rush, because it was atrocious. It was atrocious. There's nothing going on. Matthew Stafford, if you're going to let him sit in the pocket all day, he's just going to dice you. You can't cover Puka Nacua one-on-one. You don't have a guy to shut down Nacua. He was just, third and long, might as well just throw it to that guy because he's going to get open. Just had all day in the pocket. And I think we even saw a little bit of just Mikael Williams, the loss of Mikael Williams. That they were running all over them out on the outside. No one set the edge. Bryce Huff is non-existent in the run game. So I think we learned that for sure. But I think that where this game was really lost was early on in that Juwan Jennings fumble.
Jennings was a circus today. I mean, he scored a touchdown and he had a couple nice plays, but he also had some real negative plays. Had a bad drop, had a bad tip into the air. I mean,
that play in particular is just so crushing because they score in the first drive like nothing. They're just going right through your defense. It's 7-0. You get the ball back, and then it's just 3 and out. You're punting. You give the ball back to them. They score again. Now you're driving, and Juwan Jennings fumbles. So you're giving the ball back to a hot team that has offensive rhythm, and you have nothing to show for it. So that's where the game turns, because then they go and score 21-0, and that's basically the ball game. I mean, in a game where you're going blow for blow offensively, you can't be down 21-0. You're not going to out offense the Rams with this defense. So that's where the rhythm was lost for the Niners offensively and just gained by the Rams. So that's the key play for me.
Yeah, Kev, I agree with you because 14-0, they were driving. They had made a couple of good passes over the middle. Jones, that play was a first down, and he fumbled it at the 26-yard line, and he was actually punched out. And Tom Brady on the broadcast talked about it. He said Jennings was not securing the ball, and players, when they see a ball hanging out there like a loaf of bread, they're just going to not try and tackle you. They're just going to punch the ball. They're going to go for the turnover. And they showed Jennings on the sideline. And I don't know if, looks could kill, but CMC gave a quick look over to Jennings when Jennings kind of smashed his helmet. Not smashed it, but he hung up his helmet on the rack. And CMC kind of gave him a look like, dude, you can't be – he can't be carrying the ball like that. He was just hanging it out there like this. And that play right there cost them points. And then 4th and 1 on the Rams 12-yard line, 12-yard line. What the heck is Kyle having CMC run 8 yards toward the sideline and then try and turn it upfield? 1 yard. It was 4th and maybe less than a yard. Where's the QB sneak?
Oh, when they ran wide on the 4th down?
Yeah, what was that?
I know. What are
you?
You're going with some super slow developing 4th down play.
Exactly.
I didn't like that either. I was like, hey, the fastest point between the most direct path is a straight line, and you took this circuitous sideways.
Yeah,
it reeks of like we don't believe in our line.
That's exactly what I said. I was
when you got to get cute. When you're trying to outsmart yourself and get cute, it's just something.
Mac Jones is 6'3", and they always run the quarterback sneak in that situation, and teams know they're running it, and they still get it. I do not understand how you cannot push your guys back. Then you've got the guys behind you that can push you. You can't get a freaking half a yard. I mean,
I'll say this. I thought this game needed to. Thank you. I thought this game needed to have them be more aggressive. Wasn't there a 4th and 1 that he punted on in the first half as well? could have swore he punted on 4th and 1.
He punted.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the end of the half. They had it 4th and 7 because of
4th and 7.
Yeah, it was 4th and 7. There was some, I forget what the call was, but it pushed them back 5 yards. And they decided not to go. I would have liked to see them go for it there, to be honest. The Rams clearly had no trust in their big fat rookie kicker who's never kicked a ball before.
You notice he was kind of big too, huh?
Oh, he's the thicker kicker or something like that. But yeah, the game, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I can't tell if it's partially, I'm just like feeling kind of bummed. Part of it is just a god awful slate. Like I really was looking forward to just watching ball all day today. And it was just terrible. And like, as if like the afternoon slate couldn't get worse with the 3 games that were all blowouts. It was like, you also just have to watch the Seahawks just look like
annihilate.
True contenders. Like Darnold throws like 10 passes, they didn't use Shaheed and just dominate. It just sucks though. I mean, they couldn't have started the game. I mean, in terms of results, couldn't be worse. I mean, basically, I will say, I'm not going to complain really about the refs too much in this game, but I do think there was a couple critical situations where the Rams defender clearly contacted, whether it was Jennings or Kittle, like beforehand. Even that first drive.
Jennings on 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
Jones throws a slant to Jennings, and the defender got there. It wasn't like a tad early. He got there like a half hour early.
Hour early.
Parked and walked around. I mean, it was ridiculous. And the one later in the game was even worse.
Yeah.
Where Jennings is getting hit from behind. And, anybody who's ever played football knows that if you play receiver, tight end or receiver, and you're waiting for the ball to come to you, and you're waiting, you're concentrating, you're following it from the quarterback's hands into your hands. And then all of a sudden, literally 2 seconds or a good second and a half before the ball arrives, you get whiplash from behind, hit from behind. You lose sight of the ball. I mean, it's so that in the old days, man, when the defender showed up before the ball, it was a flag, and it was always a flag. And that's the one thing I think they've gotten away from on the PI now, where it's like you can get there early. I mean, you should try to get there early because they don't call it anymore. They really don't.
Yeah, I think the one you're referring to is it was that pretty crucial drive, the Niners' 5th drive with I think they got it minute and 6 seconds left starting inside their own 20. It started, Mack had just an unbelievable throw where he just lofted it over 2 linebackers and hit Jennings on the 35. And then I think maybe next play was to Robinson. But then there was one that would have got them across midfield to Jennings, where, again, he was contacted early. It was clearly PI, didn't get it. And then, they don't end up kicking the field goal. But, yeah, so, I mean, the game started. So there's that. That's the first drive. Then, obviously, they punt it back, give up a touchdown. Second drive, they look great. Absolutely great, moving the ball. And then, Juwan Jennings, for some reason, goes Shady McCoy in the middle of the field, surrounded by defenders. I kind of get it. He's kind of a guy that catches a lot on the sideline. So I don't really hate it there because the ball can always bounce out of bounds, but just in the middle of the field, so dumb. And then third drive is another turnover in the red zone. It's just a turnover by way of 4th down. I didn't hate the play call. When you kind of look at it, the thing I hated about it is that they didn't have George Kittle out there. The Niners tight ends suck ass at blocking. I don't know if it was Tonjes or
it was Luke Farrell. It was Luke
Farrell.
Luke Farrell got the initial block, but he couldn't hold his block. And so he got beat on that, and CMC got stuffed on 4th and 1, and they turn it over on downs. And at that point, you're thinking, oh my God, they're going to get their doors blown off. They were already in a 21-0 hole at that juncture, and then they just turned it over on downs. But they did force a punt on the next series. On that next series, Sky Moore had a 27-yard return, so they were right back there at the 36-yard line of the Rams, and they did drive down the field there. Kittle had that weird catch on 3rd and 5 that the Rams challenged whether it was a catch or not, and the ref said, yeah, it was a catch. And then they went for it on 4th and 2, and Jones went to Kittle, and then there was also a PI against the Rams on that call. So it set him up at the 7, and then Jones threw a 6-yard pass to Jennings, who was wide open to make it 21-7. And at the time, you're thinking, wait a second, 21-7? If the 49ers can just get a stop, they'll be fine. And they did get a stop, and they got the ball back with a minute left, and they couldn't score. They couldn't score. They had to punt themselves at the end of the first half. I thought that was a huge series because, think about it. They had scored their first touchdown. They had gotten a defensive stop. If they had followed it up with another touchdown, they could have gone into the locker room 21-14. They were getting the ball to begin the third quarter, and sure enough, they scored a touchdown on that drive in the third quarter. So, to me, I thought that last drive the Niners had in the second quarter was also huge, where I think it was 3rd and 15. Jones threw to Kittle for 8, and then they get the 4th and 7 from the 47. And, they punted there. Now, this was a key play, I thought. There's 19 seconds left, okay? You're at the 47. I get it. You don't want to give up another score, and if you go for it and you don't get it, now you're giving them a short field. They only need a few first downs, maybe 2 or 3 first downs, and all of a sudden, but there's only 19 seconds left. And to me, it's like, are you trying not to lose, or are you trying to win? I wanted to see them go for it there on 4th and 7. Now, I know they punted, and Saron Neal downed it at the LA 8-yard line. LA came out, took a knee, and then jogged into the locker room. But, you're down against a better offensive team. You're in roughly midfield. I don't know. There's 19 seconds left. I was kind of hoping that they would try to make a big pass play there, go for it, and see if they could then get a field goal, make it instead of 21-7 and a half, maybe it's 21-10, maybe it's 21-14. I don't know. I know it's low percentage there, and you don't want to give up more points, but play to win.
Yeah, the Rams had no timeouts at that point too. So what they would have had to done if they failed to convert, if the Niners went for it, the Rams would have had to either get a 15-yard pass out of bounds or over the middle and get up and clock it. They weren't going to score a touchdown.
Right.
They were only going to be able to get a long shot field goal. So you're down 14. You get the ball back. Is it worth the risk? It's debatable, but I think there's a good opportunity. Maybe you do go for it and try and at least get 3 out of it, especially when you were not going to be able to stop the Rams. You're down 14. You're never going to stop the Rams. I got a few issues also with the officials. The Rams were going to win this game regardless of some officials' calls. The Rams clearly were the better team today. But they called a illegal shift on Kittle.
That was
just pathetic. And that's a first down. They're still down by 2 scores with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left. The 49ers would have had first down near midfield. Who knows what happens? Maybe they score with 6 minutes plus left to go. They're down 1 score. They get the ball back. Change the whole game. That call.
I'll give you another one, too, on that last drive in the second quarter on that first down play. The Niners called a timeout. Okay, so they're coming out of a timeout. It's a 1st and 10 play at midfield. Jones goes to Jennings, incomplete. It was another PI.
Yeah.
That was another PI. That would have set them up in great position. Instead, they didn't get points there. It's like, and then on the very next play, they get a delay of game penalty.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? So you don't get the PI call, then you get a delay of game penalty, and that just derailed the whole thing. So they just weren't. Kittle said it best in the postgame. He's like, look, we know we're down guys on defense, but we got guys coming back on offense. We got a lot of veterans on offense. We got to be good on offense, and they weren't. They weren't good enough. Jones was good. The line was pretty good, but they weren't clean. They weren't efficient. JJ didn't have a clean game. They made mistakes. It's like you just can't do that against a team as good as the LA Rams. So it really as simple as that. I'm looking at the halftime numbers. LA had 17 first downs at the half. The Niners had 10. LA had 231 total yards. The Niners had 182. The Niners had 4 penalties. Rams had none.
The Niners outgained whatever this means. The Niners outgained the Rams, I think, in a per play basis. So offensively, I felt like they had it. It was just like you said, it was the mistakes. And I'm going to keep going back to it, but that Juwan Jennings fumble it's just backbreaking, because also the Niners going for it on that 4th down instead of going for the field goal where they didn't get it. when they ran it up the middle or they went sideways with McCaffrey. Yeah. If they had 7 on the board at that point, they probably take the 3 and they move on. And that's a different ball game. This whole game is a lot different and it gets a lot closer. So they had to play from behind, and that they didn't succeed from behind very well. I mean, just looking at the conversions, like the Rams were 5 of 9 on 3rd down and 1 for 1 on 4th down. The Niners were 3 of 8 and 1 of 3 on 4th down.
I mean,
so they just didn't convert.
We can talk about all these different angles on this thing, but the reality is this: the Rams got them in the second half. Okay. The Rams went 12-play, 64-yard drive, Stafford to Devontae Adams, touchdown, 28-14. Then the next Ram possession, 5-play, 64-yard drive, Kyron Williams, 7-yard touchdown, 35-20. Then the next Rams drive, 6 plays, 38 yards, Stafford to Colby Parkinson, 42-20. So they went touchdown, touchdown, touchdown on their 3 drives in the second half. So, I mean, the bottom line is the 49ers defense stunk. 49er defense isn't good enough. 49er defense, the reason guys like me were yelling and screaming and saying, what the hell, John Lynch, what the heck are you thinking, is not because they hadn't made any trades. They made 4. It wasn't because he didn't try. It's because they needed help desperately and got none. And they had this game staring them down. I remember as soon as the deadline passed, I'm thinking to myself, they are going to get their doors fucking blown off against the Rams because they can't move Stafford. And sure enough, Stafford rolled in here and did whatever he wanted. And the 49ers, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it was the only thing I will say that, they're running out of pieces on defense. Okay, there's no question about that. So you can only do what you can do. I mean, I can't be banging on Robert Saleh because he doesn't have Bosa, he doesn't have Warner. He doesn't have Bosa, he doesn't have Warner. All right, that's just bottom line. But guys, I haven't watched the all 22 again, and I'll have some time to look at it in the next couple of days. My perception and that I got was that the Rams picked on Luke Gifford an awful lot in this game, and it just seemed like every time I was looking up, there was Luke Gifford trying to guard half the field by himself. He's a special teams linebacker. You drafted a linebacker in the third round who's worlds faster than this guy.
Yeah.
If you want to play D. Winters over Nick Martin, I'll shrug and say, I guess they know what they're doing. If you want to play Fred Warner over him, I'll say, hey, way to go, way to go. You start playing Luke Gifford and Curtis Robinson over Nick Martin, and now it's time to start to talk about maybe you need to have somebody different drafting, because either if Nick Martin's not good enough, then why the hell did you draft that guy in the 3rd round? And if he's not better than Luke Gifford, then we got some serious things to talk about, because that Gifford was targeted. It reminded me of the Dolphin game a few years ago when Fitzpatrick came out and he just pointed at Brian Allen and was like, we're going at him. It reminded me a little bit of last year when teams went at Tavondre Campbell and was like, dude, we're going at Tavondre. It's like they went at Luke Gifford, and that you just come on. There's got to be another. Gifford can't be their best option or they're cooked. I mean, they got to get Nick Martin on the field somehow, some way. I don't know how, but they got to do it.
Yeah, and
we all knew that
go ahead, Kev.
I was gonna say we all knew that the defense has its issues. It's injury riddled. It's whatever you want to call it. But I just thought today the Gifford thing. I was thinking that too. Like they targeted Gifford a lot. Like what's going on there? Why don't we at least trying? What's going on with Nick Martin? At least, I mean, I know the question has been asked because you've asked it, but what's going on there? Why isn't he playing? Luke Gifford cannot be the answer. You can't tell me that Luke Gifford is some, he's not Azeez Al-Shaair that's just like, oh, we haven't heard of him yet, but he's actually really good. Like, no, we know what Luke Gifford is. Like he's Luke Gifford. But just the defense as a whole today was just bad. I mean, they're playing the Rams, and the Rams are a great offensive team, but it's bad angles, bad tackling. People weren't wrapping up right. It was just a really poor performance. I think at one point they had a 12-man on the field penalty, which is just, I mean, that's just deja vu from last year and just how terrible things were going last year with the 12-man on the fields. And it was a nightmare. And like the Niners, they faced a ton of 13 personnel, like 3 tight end sets, and it felt like that like confused them. Like there were so many open tight ends randomly throughout the game that where there's a miscommunication or a misassignment. I looked it up because I'm like, what happened here? The Parkinson, Higbee, and Ferguson, the 3 tight ends for the Rams, had 8 receptions for 106 yards, 1 touchdown. But the crazy thing about this is that their average yards per reception is over 13 yards per reception. So the tight ends were just gashing them on a per reception basis. Just 15 yards here, 10 yards here, 20 yards here, and a touchdown. It's like they couldn't stop them, and it's just a really poor performance from the defense.
Yeah,
overall, I just don't know what the thought process was and maybe they just weren't ready for the 3 tight end sets. It was terrible.
To me, what was unfathomable.
Could have been worse too, because Ferguson dropped a couple and he overthrew Ferguson on a big play. But you're right. Parkinson, Higbee, Ferguson. I mean, those guys really look good against the 49er defense. Go ahead, Danny.
I should say what was unfathomable to me is what you talked about at the trade deadline. I mean, they needed a couple of defenders, and they needed an edge rusher, and they needed somebody to, if Martin's not going to be playing, you got to find another backer. You could have had Johnson from the Jets. They didn't want to give up a second. I can't believe they couldn't have negotiated a third. Somehow, Jets are going nowhere. They were selling off. But in a season, I mean, former commissioner Paul Tagliabue passed away today. Rest in peace to him, and condolences to his family. But in a league that was Paul Tagliabue, who was really big on parity, you've got a year in more parity than I've ever seen in my lifetime, where there is not one real dominant team. Look at the top of the NFC. It's the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Eagles. The Niners have beaten both the Seahawks and the Rams on the road. So they can play with these guys. They needed to add, as you mentioned, Larry, they've got the Super Bowl in their backyard. Trent Williams could retire. It's normally you would say, well, you lost Bosa, you lost Warner, you're probably not going anywhere. But this is a year where it's open. I mean, it's a week-to-week league. Today, the Saints beat Carolina in Carolina.
What is that
which
noise?
helps.
What is that noise in the background?
Somebody's.
Is that one of your dogs, Danny? Am I hearing?
No.
Am I hearing?
I think we have a neighbor husky that's just terrible. I'll mute myself.
I was hearing somebody's whining.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of Kev's roommates or something, looking for beer.
I thought it was the fire department. It sounded like, but no, it's
where's my Coors Light?
It's just that's pretty good, Larry.
Make that kind of sound. Okay.
Where's my Lucky Lager? Go ahead, dude.
No, I just think the Niners, they're 6-3 now. They're right now, as it sits, they're the 8th seed with Chicago coming back to beat the Giants today. It makes that game, the end of the year against Chicago, probably going to be a deciding factor if the Niners get into the playoffs or not. But you look at their next 4 games, they should be 10-4 if they play their cards right. I mean, you got no pun intended, you got the cards. You got the Cards next week, and then after that,
Carolina.
Yeah, you got Cleveland, and then Tennessee after a bye. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't. This is what saves them, is they have this cake schedule that every game is totally winnable except for a couple. I mean, this, you could make an argument this is probably one of the harder games on the schedule, and they lost it. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It's a frustrating year because here's my thought on the whole trade deadline thing. It makes me laugh when people are like, the Niners did exactly what they needed to do. It's like, what? What do you mean they did exactly what they needed to do? Or people are like, oh, I love what Lynch did a great job at the deadline. It's like, first of all, we can't really speak definitively about, if you hear anybody saying that they did a terrible job, they're probably just hating. And if you're seeing somebody saying they did a great job, they're probably just, professional bootlickers. because ultimately it's like to say that John Lynch did a good job or a bad job at the trade deadline. It's like having an opinion about a game that you didn't watch. Like we have no idea. Like I have no idea what John was offered. It's not like they printed a list of the trades that he could have made and we could sit there and go, oh, yeah, those were all bad trades. Or you know what I mean? We have no idea. For all we know, he was offered the greatest players in the league for nothing and he has no idea what he's doing. Or he could have been, he could have been offered just horrible trades and none of us would make any of those deals and we're in total lockstep with him. But like for people to come out and be like, yeah, they absolutely did the right thing. How do you know? Stop being such an ass kisser. I mean, seriously, I mean, you don't know if they did a good job. They might have done a good job. They might have been offered great things for nothing and they swallowed the olive and couldn't decide. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. So it's like we can't grade. I saw CBS wrote a whole article grading out the trade deadline. It's like, bro, you don't even know what trades were available and what wasn't available, what was possible. So it's really hard to do the trade thing. Well, the only thing I can say about the trade thing is that they needed help that they didn't get. That part, I don't need to see a list of trades. I don't need to find out what was on the table. All I know is that they needed help that they didn't get. So that's my view of the thing. And so I don't, this let's stumble over ourselves 19 different ways to compliment John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan for sitting on their hands and standing pat at the trade deadline. Okay, that's fine, but at the end of the day, you're just a gigantic suck ass. You're just sitting there complimenting people about deals that you have no idea. You have no idea what they were offered, what the other teams were asking for. So you can't sit here and say they did it perfect. No, they didn't.
Well, here's the truth. The truth is that the teams that did make trades during the trade deadline did give up a lot. So I feel like that kind of stood out from previous years. In previous years, it felt like the Niners were able to make trades, or just teams in general were able to make trades for players that were just, pretty good players, and they just gave up like a third, but they were going to get a comp pick. So it was like a trade off, and but like we saw big trades. Like there was double first round picks given out like
Quinn
Williams,
the
corner,
Sauce
Gardner, and it's like those were high value trades. So if I had to guess, even though I also am shooting in the blind here, it felt like the trade deadline price for players was pretty high. But in the same light, yeah, we don't know what was offered, what wasn't offered. But then again, the truth is the Niners needed something. You can argue whether or not they get it. You can argue whether or not if they made a trade, that the trade would have been worth it or not worth it. But this team, as it stands on the defensive line, is just simply not good enough. It's just not. You're going to put this defensive line up against any good offensive line, any good offense. They're not going to get home. You're not going to get stops. Like, it's going to take just an amazing offensive performance and some lucky defensive stands for this team to have a puncher's chance at any, NFC champion. If we're even going to go that far, like the NFC championship game, the Super Bowl, like this is not a Super Bowl caliber defensive line. I think that they know that. So in a way, them not making a trade at the deadline is them saying, hey, like, we're going to ride this year out with the players we got, but next year, like, we're going to get better. And like, cause they kind of know deep down, like, you can't say it.
But there was an answer for that.
You can't say we're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. You can't just say that to your room. But I feel like everyone kind of knows it. You can't, like, they're not there yet.
But that's why the ideal candidate would have been somebody who's under contract for beyond this year. Right. That's all. Just don't trade him. I agree. It made no sense to go after Trey Hendrickson or anybody who was going to be a free agent at the end of the year. But here's the other thing. And I always get the sense that Niner fans always, and I heard actually one Niner media person actually say this today. He's like, next year they'll have Bosa back. They'll have Warner back. They'll have this person back. It's like, what are you even talking about? Football is violent. Football will always have injuries. If your premise is that the Niners are going to be better in the future, then yeah, I wouldn't sell assets for the present. But guys, what if we look back 5 years from now and this is the best team they have? This team has Trent Williams. This team has George Kittle. This team has CMC still playing at a pretty good level. This team has two quarterbacks you can win with. This team, has a lot of good players on it. What if next year Trent Williams retires? What if next year at the trade deadline, Kittle and Warner and CMC are all hurt? I mean, yeah, we think it was wise because of the injuries. They're limited now, but they could be more limited next year. And in reality, what world are you living in if you think that a 32-year-old football player is going to be healthier at 33? I mean, come on, man. Once these guys start getting hurt, and once they get older, they get more and more hurt. So, and JJ's key receiver, he's probably walking away at the end of the year. You don't know if you're what level Kittle or CMC is going to be at. You don't know how Fred's coming back from his injury. You don't know if Bosa's coming back from his injury. They may have more injuries next year. Trent Williams could retire. And what you do know is that you were 6-3. And what you did know is that only 3 teams in football had a better record. And what you did know is that the entire freaking league is mid, and everybody who makes the playoffs has got a chance to win the Super Bowl. That's what you did know. So I get it, and I understand, and I understand the people who are like, hey, man, they're diminished this year. They may be more diminished next year. And if I think you that this was the best team they had in the next 5 years, would you then feel differently about doing something at the trade deadline? Because I know everybody's assuming that this is the down year and that the future is going to be bright. But really, who's the best young player on the 49ers on both sides of the ball? We had this discussion a couple of weeks ago. I think it might be Upton Stout on defense, and it might be Mac Jones on offense. There's not a stellar group of awesome stud Kittle, Warner, CMC, Bosa's, just all who are 22, just sitting there waiting to blossom. If they are, I'm not seeing them at practice. So I just think everybody's got this kind of false premise. And the old saying, if your premise is wrong, by definition, your conclusion is wrong. If your premise is, man, the Niners are in their down year and they're going to be better in the future, then why the hell would you ever trade any asset of the future? But what if this is the good old days? And, this, when they had Trent Williams, maybe what if this is the best team they have? I'm just saying it's possible. And then you're going to look back in 2 years and go, man, we had Trent, we had Kittle, we had all these guys, we had Shanahan, we had Saleh. Saleh may move on. I mean, we had a lot going on there. Maybe it was kind of a mid-year, and ultimately it was, who knows? I mean, it was the Rams against the Broncos in the Super Bowl, and they both had injuries, and, we probably could have gotten in there. You know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not necessarily for sure that next year you're going to be in a better situation than this year.
If we're looking at the Niners roster, sorry, Ryan, I'll be real quick. If we're looking at the Niners roster, I think to that point, the clock that you need to watch on the clock of the person's career, it's CMC, because CMC isn't the guy that I think is the most special. Like his talent, and I mean even the way Shanahan talks about him, there's not going to be another CMC walking around 5 years from now. So, like, I think his clock is the most important.
Okay.
Of the veterans.
Yeah, I to that point, Larry, you kind of had me there for a second, but then the more I thought about it, I think either way I wouldn't make the trade.
Would not.
No, I mean, the only thing that even seemed remotely reasonable of all the deals that materialized was the Jalen Phillips one, and how he smartly got that done before the actual deadline day when it seemed like, oh my God, you got to give a 2nd-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. I think they gave up a 3rd, and if he leaves, they get a compensatory 3rd, so basically free. But yeah, I mean, okay, let's say this is the best year in the next 5 years. This team's not going to the Super Bowl. So I don't think I want to be giving up asset. I want to be rebuilding. So like why trade for something just to make them, maybe they win a game in the playoffs if we trade for someone,
Yeah.
And ultimately, I was going to bring up this exact point where it's like, the way I see the league, because it has so much parity, is kind of like there's like 4 buckets. There's the contenders. Okay, you want to be in that bucket. I don't think the Niners are in that bucket anymore. Then there's like kind of the good up-and-coming teams with a bunch of young talent. That's kind of like what Seattle was at the beginning of the year. They now are into the contender bucket. I think same thing for the Rams. Their team, outside of Stafford's young. They've got this young, awesome defense, and offensive line looks good. Weapons are good. And then there's the good/middling team with no young talent whatsoever and a bunch of aging guys. That's where the Niners are. It's the worst spot to be in, because then there is the 4th one is the bad teams that are absolute ass, probably have a bunch of young players, but at least they're going to have a bunch of picks coming up, and they know they're rebuilding. The Niners, if you did like a jersey draft, like if I had a kid that was like 5 years old, and it's like, pick a jersey, what jersey, like, even let's just like go around, like do a draft real quick of players under 29 years old that you would want to get a jersey for. I don't even know if we,
or how about this? Let's have a draft of 5-year-olds in Northern California that we'd like to make you be their dad.
yeah. Well, that actually might be a better draft. But yeah, it's like it's pretty embarrassing. Like, you see like the Rams are just.
Should we do it? Should we do the draft?
I don't even know if I want to do the draft. I don't even know if we'll be able to get there. Like,
How old's Eddie Pinero?
He's old.
By the way, who blocked the PAT?
I thought it was
Rams.
Verse.
It was
One of the Rams' awesome young players.
Was that just a great player by Verse, or did somebody blow it? I didn't see the replay.
Hennessy missed his block on
Hennessy
Verse.
got blown up.
He didn't miss his block, but he got beat.
He got blown up.
Yeah, it honestly, to bring it to Danny's wheelhouse, they kind of feel like the San Francisco Giants here. It's a bunch of old guys, no real big name. It's like, yeah, they could trade for Devers. What is that?
I mean, their young player is Brock. That's their young player.
Their young player is Brock, and we haven't even talked about it.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I don't think you bring. I would just ice Brock.
Can I play the Shanahan clip? I'm gonna play the Shanahan clip.
Yeah, do it, because Mac Jones is incredible.
Because
We got to talk about Richard Sherman too.
This was
what do you got? What do you got, Kev? You got
trending
Shanahan in the post
soundbite
game presser
on Brock Purdy. This is the trending little clip that everyone's freaking out about.
Here, let's hear it.
Definitely. I just decided to hold him, not put him in that situation.
I feel Mac probably never going to be 100% again this season. Is there, at some point, do you just have to play him knowing that he's not going to be?
Percent he gets. Our dilemma, or what we're trying not to do, is put him out in the situation we did versus Jacksonville. He could have gone.
What was the line, Kev?
Because I glitched there.
Yeah, kind of glitched.
The line that
what was
the line is that he could have gone and that they just decided not to put him in the game this week.
Okay, so the people that don't like Brock Purdy are using that as Brock Purdy sucks and Shanahan knows it, and that's why he's not putting him in there, and he's too super mid, and this.
That's false.
He's had a soft benching, and it's like, oh my God, it sounds like you've got a soft noggin. I mean, seriously, you really think they put him out there after 2 weeks, and he obviously wasn't healthy. I had a doctor on the other day who's an orthopedic surgeon who knows this injury. He's like, you got to rest it for like 2 to 6 weeks minimum, and if it's severe and pretty bad, it's more like 2 to 8 weeks. They haven't done that. He's practicing, so I mean, it's like they haven't given it the time to let it rest and let it heal, and so. I personally don't have any problem with them being more conservative. Especially since Jones is playing at a really high level. It's like, think about it this way. Let's just say the Niners could figure out their defense. I'm not saying they can, but let's just say they could. And they were going to be okay on defense. And they're going to the playoffs. Do you want to have Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, or do you want to have neither? I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here. If you put out Brock Purdy right now and he gets hurt again, now you got Mac Jones and Adrian Martinez, and the whole thing is quite a bit different. Where if you play Mac Jones the next 4 or 5 games, you might have both, and both is a better situation than neither by far. So I have no problem with the way they're handling Brock. I would not put him out there. Here's why: because Brock Purdy's greatest trait that helps him stay upright is his ridiculous escapability. And if he doesn't have that escapability, and he doesn't, then he's not Brock Purdy. And then also what I see at practice, guys, is a guy who looks still a little sore, and sometimes airmails some passes, and he's not that accurate. So, and he's not driving the ball down the field in November anywhere close to the way he drove the ball down the field in July. And I know because I was there in July. So I think they're doing the absolute right thing. You keep talking up Brock could be back. Why? Because it's gamesmanship. Brock's a mobile quarterback. Jones is a pocket passer. If you say Jones is going to start, they can prepare for the pocket passer. If you say, hey, I don't know, they got to prepare for both. If you say that, you're probably making their staff waste 8 to 10 hours of preparation time. That's part of the gamesmanship of winning on Sunday in the NFL, is making their staff work 8 hours on something that they're not going to need. That's 8 hours that they don't have to work on other stuff to beat you. So I think the Niners are playing it right. Keep saying he's progressing. Don't throw a timeline. Keep speculating that he could be back, and then keep going with Mac Jones. And then when Brock feels ready enough, or you feel ready enough, put him out there. But I would not. If you fall out of it, I wouldn't put him out there. I'd let him heal. And if he has a setback, I'd bench him for the year. You got a guy in there right now who's playing pretty well. The other thing is Brock realistically, even if you think Brock's better than Jones, do you really realistically think he's going to step off of not playing for 6 weeks into the lineup, and he's going to be better than Jones, who just completed 80% against the Giants last week and 85% against the Rams this week? I think that's pie in the sky. I don't think that's realistic. I think it's going to take some time for him to get back. So, personally, I think they're handling it the right way, which is be very circumspect, especially since Patrick Willis' career ended on this. You cannot. Could you imagine if the Niners just recklessly threw Brock Purdy out there and he suffered a severe turf toe relapse and had to be surgically repaired, and it somehow interrupted and ruined his career? I mean, that would be on Shanahan's ledger, and I'm sure all the anti-Shanahan people would hold his feet to the fire for the rest of time about it. So I think being cautious and smart is probably the right play.
I don't know if you guys saw what Richard Sherman tweeted out. He said, "I just don't see how Kyle will be able to take Mac Jones off the field with how he's playing. I know Brock Purdy has to start if he's healthy, but this is a hot hand situation right now, and Mac is rolling. Not trying to spark controversy, but this is an obvious observation. Either way, Mac has made himself a lot of money and will be starting somewhere next season."
Well, no, he will not.
He's got a 2-year contract. Yeah.
Got a contract. And funny, Eric Branch asked him about it. He's like, "Why'd you sign a 2-year contract?" And Mac's like, "That's kind of an odd question." It's not really an odd question. It's maybe an odd timing for the question, but he could have signed a 1-year prove-it deal, and then he would be back. I'm sure him and his agent, if they could do it over again, they would like to sign a 1-year prove-it deal and get back in the marketplace. Instead, the Niners have an asset that they can either utilize or trade. We welcome in John Dickinson. JD, we've been talking about this game for a while. You've been on the KMBR post-game show. Give us your rundown of this thing. What did you think of the loss?
Yeah, it's a tough loss, and I just want to make sure you guys can hear me clearly here. I'm using a little bit of a different piece of technology tonight than normally when I hop on with you guys. But I think it was talent meets offensive talent and game plan meets extremely depleted defense by the injuries, and I think those two kind of met tonight with the Rams really on a roll here of late, trying to get, I think, a revenge game against a shorthanded Niners team that went down to SoFi and beat them a little over a month ago in early October. So I just thought the defense today was overmatched. I thought the offense missed some opportunities to make the game even closer or give the 49ers a chance to win, but they gave up 6 touchdowns. And so you got to have an absolutely perfect, offensive day to be able to hang in a game like that, unless you're going to be able to get a couple of more stops than the 49ers were able to, today. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It was a game, frankly, I expected them to lose. I think when you look at their, talent level in particular defensively, there's only so much that Robert Saleh can do to generate pressure and come up with schemes that can help them hang in these games. I think it's matchup based too, in addition to just a sheer talent disparity and difference on display between what the Rams are putting out there offensively and what the 49ers are putting out there defensively. So is every week going to be that way? Not necessarily. And obviously, I think the Rams are the best or maybe the second best team that the 49ers are going to face between now and the end of the year. Seattle is rolling right now. I think they're maybe the best team in the entire NFL with the way that they're playing right now. And have lately. And, so you've got another difficult game at Indy, although they're more vulnerable coming up here. But there's still some winnable games for the Niners. So I don't think the season is over by any stretch of the imagination. Not to jump in on your commenter there. The season's not over. There's still, I think, probably 5 or 6 games out of the 7 remaining that the 49ers can win. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win them all, but can they get 4 of them and go 4-3? That gets you to 10-7. I think it's becoming more clear that the Bears game is going to have to be one of the games they get. I think the Carolina game is going to be a game that they're going to have to get. You got to get Tennessee. And then the way I've sort of put it is you get either at Arizona or at Cleveland. Now, if you can get both, you're in great shape. If you can get both. Now, is this team good enough to get both? We'll see, because I think the old on paper, hey, the Browns suck, go win, doesn't necessarily apply to this team in terms of, I don't think there's going to be any easy game, I guess, maybe with the exception of Tennessee at Levi's Stadium toward the end of the year. So, but if they can go and play well, and I think be led more by their offense, that was kind of the positive spin maybe on today, is that the offense, and maybe that's a matchup thing with the Rams, but I mean, Mac Jones, as you guys were talking about when I hopped in, continues to play, I think, excellently. I mean, he's the least of their problems if you want to go up and down the line of problems for this football team. And so, yeah, whether he stays in or Brock Purdy eventually at some point comes back, I think they're equipped to go win a bunch of these games here between now and the end of the year and still be a playoff team. But I think they also showed today how far away they are from truly being able to contend against the other more legit teams, whether it's the Rams. Now, this is a different Niner team than they had when they played the Rams. This is a different Niner team than they had week 1 when they played Seattle. So I just don't think they're a contender, but I do think they're a quality middle of the pack team that can win 4 or 5 of their remaining games and get into the playoffs. And I think that should probably be celebrated as a successful season.
Playoff team, yes. Contender, no. Why? Because their defense was built with a lot of youth in the secondary, and the reason the reasoning was, hey, we've got Bosa up front, we've got Huff up front, we can put some pressure on the quarterback. We'll draft McHale, we'll have Bosa, we'll have Huff. We'll affect the quarterback up front with our pass rush, and that will cover our young DBs as they develop. But now they don't have any of those bullets in the gun except for Huff. And, they can't affect the quarterback. And so the better quarterbacks are really going to be too much for them. And I think we saw that today. I agree with JD. I think the Niners, they're going to the playoffs because they've got, they're going to accumulate enough wins, and they've got enough talent to go to the playoffs. But I got to think that once they get to the playoffs, some good quarterback is going to sit back there, have all day to kind of scan the field, and it's just going to absolutely carve up all their young DBs. So it's kind of the plan was kind of like a puncher's chance plan. You know what? If you got Bosa, you got McHale, you got Huff, maybe you got enough rush up front, and maybe your young DBs will develop on the back end, and you got a puncher's chance. But now you don't have that rush, and now your young DBs are getting exposed. So what's happened to the young DBs? It's not that they've fallen apart. It's just that they have to have some rush up front, and instead they don't, and they're being somewhat exposed, I think, because of it. And then offensively they're getting better, but they're still, we don't talk about this either, but the Niners are slow as shit on offense. I mean, they are one of the slowest freaking offenses in football with no Watkins. Look at I'm sitting there next to Todd Husak in the upper deck, and we're like, they're down multiple scores, and it's like they're cooked. Why? Because they're playing slow. They're walking to the line. They're still huddling. They don't act in any way like they've got any kind of hurry-up mode, but then they don't have hurry-up talent. They don't have a big play guy. They don't have a quick strike receiver or a quick strike tight end or a quick strike running back. They got to work on slow, long, methodical drives. I like Jones. He was high percentage, but let's be honest, Jones doesn't drive the ball down the field very much, which is kind of why he's so high percentage. I like him, and I think he's really good, and I think he's been great. But man, they do not have come from behind ability. They have to have it on their terms, or it's game set match. They are not going to fall into a 14-0 hole against anybody and come back this year.
I don't think that Mac Jones is like a guy that doesn't want to throw the ball down the field. I don't think it's a Mac Jones thing. I think it's like a Niners thing. I think it's they don't have the personnel to throw down the field. They don't have the line to throw down the field. I think Mac Jones in Jacksonville was slinging it, and he was throwing the deep ball. I'm saying this because my buddy today was like, "Oh yeah, Mac Jones doesn't really have a deep ball." I'm like, I think he does. It's just the Niners don't really do that. That's just not what they've ever really done.
I love the way Mac Jones throws the ball right now. Loving it.
I kind of, I mean, the Niners, it's just been the same old story forever. It's like once they get into like an obvious drop back passing game, their offensive line looks terrible. Quarterback tends to look terrible. I mean, I don't know. I think the offensive line looked pretty good today. And I think Mac Jones, I trust. I mean, I'm a huge Purdy guy. Purdy is the guy for the franchise. But I trust Mac Jones, like in like you have a minute and a half left to go get a score. I trust Mac Jones more in that situation. I kind of trust him more, down 21-0, in terms of like having a puncher's chance.
Can I share a stat here? I know I usually try to share some really complex stats sometimes, but this is just the box score. But this kind of stuck out to me, and we haven't talked about this yet. But look at the carries today. 8 carries for Robinson for 41 yards. 5.1 yards per carry. CMC had 12 carries, 30 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. The longest McCaffrey run was 5 yards.
I think his longest on the season is like 17. I mean, McCaffrey's still clearly, in the realm of just NFL players. He still is like a plus player. But there's no doubt that he's lost his highest gear. It doesn't really matter because he's such a good player and he's so involved in the passing game. He does so many little things well. But I'm pretty sure I saw something on Twitter about they always track the players' mile per hours. I don't know if you guys touched on this at all, but I saw a thing that essentially it showed like him in 2023, and he hit like 21 miles per hour, which is standard fast ass running back speed. This year, he hasn't gone above 17.5, which is I'm pretty sure
he needs to go to Driveline.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what Big Jordan Davis ran on his on that block kick touchdown situation versus the Rams. I'm pretty sure he ran 17 miles per hour. So,
Yeah, McCaffrey had, what was that, 2.1? Or what was the average? It was 5.1 to 2.3 or something like that. That's pretty interesting stat there. It's again, why are you sending them 8 yards on 4th and 1 to the outside instead of just going up the middle? Doesn't make sense.
The drive coming out the half I really liked. Like I liked that the Niners came out and decided that they wanted to get the game back on their terms and just run the ball down their throat with a bruiser in Brian Robinson, and it worked, and they scored. So I like the usage of Robinson because sometimes when you don't see Robinson play, sometimes you forget that he's actually a really good NFL running back. Like it's like that.
Seriously, use this
your head when
guy
he starts playing.
Why don't they use this guy? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous they don't use this guy. The usage makes no sense. You would think Brian Robinson. People are like, Brian Robinson's not mad at his role. Why the hell isn't he mad at his role? He doesn't ever get to play. I'd be mad at in my role if I was a starting running back and came here and sat the bench and never touched the ball. I mean, it's not like it's 60-40 CMC or 70-30. It's like 95-5. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense at all. It's the dumbest game plan I've ever seen, because what if you get to the playoffs? What if you're lucky enough to actually get to the playoffs? Your chances are all predicated on CMC, but you're running CMC up 10 against the Giants. You're running CMC in the fourth quarter at the 3-minute mark, up 2 scores against the New York Giants on the worst fucking turf in the league. And you're going to sit there and tell us that, you worry about after you do that, it's like, I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, it's just awful. Balance it out. I mean, how hard is it to understand? They just can't do it. And you know what it is? It's just, they can't stand up to the guy. It's like Kyle can't stand up to the guy. Bobby T can't stand up to the guy. They just defer to Christian. Christian wants to take every carry. I get it. I'd want to take every carry too, but guess what? I'd like Christian to be healthy in December or January. Seems like the Niners got to the Super Bowl that one time with Christian. He was all tired and beat up. He fumbled in the game. He wasn't the same guy. If they could ever have a chance to win with this group, they need to get to the playoffs with a healthy and rested Christian McCaffrey, and there's no chance of that happening if they just run him into the ground. Okay, there's 3 guys that may be back, may not be back, and if they're back, we don't know what they're going to contribute. So I'll throw it to you guys. Between Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, and Brock Purdy, which guy comes back this year? Which guy comes back and does something this year? And which guy doesn't come back at all this year? Go ahead.
I would say Pearsall comes back as probably the next guy that is able to actually contribute once that PCL heals. I think he'll be back either it's next week or 2 weeks from now at the latest.
It's going to go up for 6 weeks with this PCL thing. And seriously, I mean, it's like, hey, somebody who's estimating these things, you're fucking up because you could have had another player. You've gone man down for a month. You could have put this guy on IR and had another player. Instead, you didn't. And he's been out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a major F up
same
there.
With Brock. Brock's been out 6 weeks now.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, Niners are going multiple man down.
Yeah.
I don't think that's wise at all.
But I say Pearsall comes back. I don't know what Ayuk. I think he'll come back personally. I wouldn't be surprised if they hold him out till after the bye and he comes back if they're in contention still. But I don't know how effective he'll be.
What do you guys think? Which guys come back?
High for Brandon Ayuk, man. There are people drafting him in fantasy. I mean, it's like the latest comment from Shanahan was like that we hope that he plays this season. It's like at this point, it's huge.
It wasn't even hope that we play. It was hope that we open his window before the end of the season. He didn't even say he'd play. He just said I think he'll play. And then he goes, and they're like, is he going to play between now and the end of the year? He's like, I think he'll probably play. He at least will have his window opened. like that, like they're like it's one and the same. Like the window will be open. Oh, in that case, phew. I was afraid he wouldn't have his practice window opened. It's like I don't care about his practice window. I don't care if it's practice. Allen Iverson just called. He said he doesn't care about that.
Well, do you remember the report toward the middle of training camp that he had a shot to play opening day?
Yes.
Like that. There was an actual report in August that said the Niners are hopeful or it's on the table that he could play week 1 in Seattle.
Week 1.
And now it feels like after the bye is like the earliest. And it really feels more at this point like it's maybe he comes back and gets to play a little week 18 if the game doesn't mean anything just to get his feet wet for 2026. Like that, it is crazy. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, Krug, but something's. I mean, is it a setback? Is it?
Well, it's unfair to Ayuk because anyone I don't want to. Anyone listening to this would think, oh, so something bad happened to Ayuk. It was a major injury. To just put that timeline on him seems kind of crazy. Like,
I know.
Returning that fast.
I get an injury in my mind for sure.
You know what I think it was? I think it was, hey, you know what? These Niner people, they'll say anything we tell them to say. No, they won't. Yeah. Watch. I'll say that this guy's gonna be back in week 1, and and there'll be Niner people that will go with it. And then, sure enough, they did it. And then they're probably sitting there back in the back room laughing at all the people who broke on that.
That never made sense. I mean, never made sense.
Well, remember when Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles, and there was like a little bit of chatter about him coming back in the same season, that first year with the Jets.
Because he did that different treatment, right? He did some weird treatment that wasn't the normal 9 to 12 month treatment.
Yeah. That's like
some ayahuasca treatment.
So I mean, and it's just bottom line is he was never. Once you knew that once you saw the injury and you saw the date, it was week 7. anybody with a brain would say, hey, you'll be back maybe week 7, week 10, and then you're like, well, wait a second. No, it's going to take more time. All right. Well, maybe it's going to be more like week 11, week 12. That's why I thought I was being like, conservative, but I said, hey, probably not till Thanksgiving, because I was thinking, oh, week 12, week 13, that's about right. That's probably way conservative. Instead, he's probably, I would say, if you made me guess, I would say Pearsall comes back, plays a game or two, probably has another injury and is out. Purdy, I think, comes back after the bye, and then I think Ayuk doesn't come back. I think Ayuk doesn't come back to the Niners. I think he doesn't come back this year. Maybe they have some kind of open his window, something maybe in the last week, but I think they move on from him in the offseason. That would be my guess. I don't know sources on that, but I would say Purdy comes back after the bye. Pearsall comes back in a week or two, and then probably gets hurt again. And then Ayuk is probably not coming back. That's kind of how I see it. We should tell everybody, by the way, that 49er football season all season long is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Kev, we didn't win, huh? We didn't win this week.
This was the lineup.
We had Stafford more than 268 winner. We had CMC more than 48.5 yards receiving winner. We had Kendrick Bourne more than 33.5 receiving yards loser. And we had Eddie Pinheiro 2 field goals loser. So we didn't win this week. We would have, if we had won, it was like 5 was going to make us like 35, something like that. So, but anyways, check out Sleeper. Thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. And we're big fans of Sleeper. Check them out. And we're big fans of Sleeper. So there you go.
I wanted to bring up a point about something we haven't. You touched on it briefly about the clock and Shanahan. The second half, the 49ers were pretty much equal. They were just outscored by the Rams by 21-19. So they each had 3 scores. So they were even with them. But my problem was the Niners got to within 1 score, then the extra point got blocked. Rams come down and score. So the Niners are scoring with them. There's 10 minutes to go, and the Niners are just taking their sweet time. No hurry-up offense. It's like, okay, you need 2 scores. You need to stop the Rams probably twice. So what makes you think you have time to just get 2 touchdowns and hold the Rams scoreless? Why does Kyle constantly think he's got all the time in the world? They were moving the ball the second half. They were moving the ball the entire game. Why not hurry the ball up with 10 minutes to go, score with less than or more than 6 minutes? Get down the field 3 minutes.
It's
7 minutes on the clock.
It's a good question. I mean, yes. I mean,
it's frustrating.
I've asked Kyle about this in the past. I've said, hey, Kyle, when you first got here in 2017 or 2018, you guys, did a lot of hurry up. You played a lot of tempo, and you don't do that now. Why? And his answer to me is always along the lines of it's almost like he's saying, if you're not good, you use tempo. If you don't have the dogs, if you don't have the horses, you screw around with tempo, slow it down, speed it up, that kind of thing. Almost like it's almost like he said, hey, we have better players now. We don't need to play tempo. But yeah, I mean, you're always going to get into a situation like this. I mean, if you're down 2 scores and there's 14 minutes left, let's say in the game, yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to play super hurry up, but then if you do play hurry up, there's more sequences in the game. And then you have multiple chances. So it's like, everything comes down to their backs are to the wall and they have to finish the second half in a perfect scenario where they allow no more points, where if you speed it up, now you have more series to play in the game and there's more chances for more things to happen. I would like to see him speed it up. I would like to see them go to some kind of a hurry up, especially if you're if you're Kyle Shanahan and you're really a smart play caller and you use a lot of formation variation, a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, it's very voluminous, a lot of volume to your offense. It seems like if you played fast, it would really bother opposing defenses. And yet he doesn't show a lot of interest in trying to speed it up. So I'm not 100% sure why. I agree with you. They should have played faster. They were a little too deliberate. It didn't come into play, but it could have. It very well could have. It just, you try to score as fast as you can. Instead, they were more like, we're going to take our time. We're going to do this right. We're going to score. Okay, but then you're oftentimes leaving yourself no margin for error because you're lessening the number of series in the second half of the game. So I kind of agree with Danny. What do you guys think? I mean, Kyle doesn't play a lot of hurry up. We don't see no huddle. They're not running to the line of scrimmage. They don't use a lot of tempo for, better or for worse. They don't slow it down. They don't try to speed it up. I've seen tempo really throw games into, a tizzy where all of a sudden the offense doesn't feel good or the defense doesn't feel right because the tempo, because they're not used to playing that tempo. What do you guys think?
I think it's kind of like just indicative. I mean, I don't really like it. It's kind of indicative of like Kyle. Like, I just feel like Kyle's just such a control freak, and he literally just thinks one play at a time. Like, how do I call the best play? And that's why he always wants CMC in there. Like, there's no part of him that is thinking, long term, 6 plays from now. He's not thinking about tempo or any of this kind of stuff where maybe he loses a little bit more control. It's just control. It's like, what is the best play I can run right now? Not that he doesn't sequence things, but that's just his philosophy, and for better or worse.
Yeah, I also think he's become over the years, because he had by year 3, he had a dominant defense. And I think he wants to maximize the defense's ability to be able to be well rested. And if you have a high powered offense that can, that doesn't have to gimmick it up in terms of things like tempo, then you're going to have a more rested defense. And then, the complementary football aspect of the game is going to be there for him. I also think he'd be more reluctant to do it now because the defense is hanging on by a thread as is. And so I think, if you're getting some quicker drives, I mean, this defense is already, today they were cooked. They've played better, obviously, than today in a lot of these games. But if you're not doing everything you can from an offensive point of view to be able to maximize what the defense can provide, given how depleted they are, then maybe you're screwing them before they even have an opportunity to prove anything. So I think there's part of that. And then late in game, as far as he's it's funny, Krueger, you've asked him about it. I've asked him about this in the past too. The fourth quarter, 10 minutes to go, you're down 2 scores scenario. And he says he looks at it as if there's 3 possessions. We have to score, we have to stop, we have to score. And at that point, the game's tied or, whatever, depending upon whether it's a 10-point game or a 14-point game or whatever. And he basically views it as like a zero sum, like, it's just at that point, it's the old, like in an NBA game, you get to 90 seconds to go, you're down 6, you got to pitch a shutout. And, you got to, they can't score anymore and you're going to have to score 8, or 7, and you win the game that way. And so I think Kyle views it as the extra, he doesn't view it as I'm trying to get an extra possession. He's trying to view it as I've got 2 offensive possessions. I have to score touchdowns on both of them. Not going to speed it up. If we don't score on both of them, the game's over anyway. If we don't get the 1 stop, the game's over anyway. So expanding it beyond that doesn't even matter in his mind. Again, I'm coming up with an explanation. I'm not saying I agree with it.
Seems a little odd to me because what happens if you scored twice, but the Rams scored once?
Right.
And now you have no time left. But if you did it quickly and you got the ball back with 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes left because you hurried, and now you're only down 1 score after scoring already twice, you've given yourself a 3rd chance. In Kyle's scenario, what you just described, JD, everything has to go perfect, and nothing ever goes perfect, rarely. and it's just it puts you in a position where you're relying on, again, everything to go perfect, and you're not leaving any margin for any error. And your defense has gotten sliced up all day. I think you just go for it. I mean, most coaches do when they're down. Most coaches, when they're down 2 scores and there is 10 minutes or less left in the game, they are quickly huddling up and trying to get the ball down the field quickly because they know you got to score quick.
Did you see this, guys? Sorry,
Yeah.
Next gen stats. The Rams deployed 13 personnel on 30 of 67 offensive plays. So 44.8% of the time they went with 3 tight ends. It's the second
They wanted Gifford on the field.
The second highest rate in a game since 2016, in their 3rd straight game over 38%. But look at the results. They averaged 6.7 yards per play, 63.3% success ratio, and a 20% explosive play rate out of 13, all 13 personnel, all 3-game highs. So, I mean, who was it before that said the Niners did not respond well to the 13 personnel? I think that's absolutely, this is kind of proof of that. All right, let's do this. Let's go our game balls, and then we'll hit our supers and bolt for the door. Go ahead. Why don't we start with, we'll go game balls. Well, first of all, let me dump this off the screen so we can get back on there. All right, let's go game balls around the room. We'll start with you, JD, and we'll work that way. Who gets your game ball for this thing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think you got to go with Mac Jones if you're looking at it from the 49ers point of view. I mean, he continues to perform. I mean, 33 of 39 for 319, 3 touchdowns. I don't care about the late game interception. That was desperation time, so I think it's kind of irrelevant. But he continues to play really well. And had the Niners been able to convert a 3rd down maybe earlier in the game offensively, had Jennings not fumbled, they were a lot closer than maybe it seemed when the game ended, to being able to kind of go toe to toe with this Rams team. They certainly did in the second half. And as bad as the defense played, they had a shot. If they were 2 or 3 plays literally on offense away from maybe this game would have been 42-35 with the Niners having the ball and about 3 minutes to go with a chance to go down and tie it, and maybe you go for a 2-point conversion and win it. Although, I mean, they had the block kick at that point, so I guess they would have had to get the 2 to tie. But yeah, they were. So that is all Mac, and he's, like I said, I mean, I can't think of anything Mac Jones related as to why I wouldn't want Mac Jones to be the quarterback. You can say Brock Purdy's better. I personally think Brock Purdy is better, especially if he's close enough to full health or at full health. But Mac Jones, there's nothing that makes me feel like the 49ers are less equipped to win next week at Arizona because Mac Jones would be the starting quarterback, or at home against the Panthers, or any of these other games between now and the end of the regular season. Maybe some of the games against the better teams potentially, but I think Mac's capable of beating just about anybody, and he's continued to prove it.
That's the other thing too. It's like everybody wants to be respectful to Purdy because Purdy, let's not forget what Purdy did. Purdy's got mobility. He used those legs against Detroit in the NFC Championship game. He's played really well in the Super Bowl. I think there's reasons to believe that Brock Purdy is the better of the 2 quarterbacks. But, man, Mac Jones is really, really playing well. I mean, he's playing really well. I mean, think about what he did today. 85% against this Rams defense behind this line with these weapons. I mean, it's really quite amazing. I guess I would throw it to you guys this way. Do you think there's anything that Jones could do that would make you go, you know what? He actually should be the guy, and they shouldn't go with Brock Purdy. I mean, I'm a Brock Purdy fan, and I really think Brock Purdy's better than Jones. But I got to be honest, Jones throws a great ball. Jones takes care of the ball. Jones probably better than Brock. Jones processes what he sees. And guys, I mean, I'm sitting next to Todd Husak in the upper deck, and I probably said it to him at least 7 times in this game today. There was one play, and I forget exactly the sequence, but there was a live rusher coming off the edge, and Jones had a guy in the flat, but the guy was bearing down on him, and he released it so freaking quick and put it right on the receiver's hands. And I looked over at Husak, who was sitting to my left, and I'm like, dude, how about that accuracy? And he's like, yeah, man, that's a lot harder throw for a quarterback than most people think. I mean, it was just a guy in the flat, but you got a free rusher and nobody in between you, and you got to layer it over him, and yet you got to put it on the hands, and you can't overthrow. I mean, Kaepernick throw constantly. Jimmy G missed this throw all the time. And Mac Jones can put it on you, man, as far as the accuracy. I mean, I thought Purdy was accurate, but this guy might be even more accurate. I mean, is there anything that Jones can show us that would make you guys go, I like Brock Purdy, but I love Mac Jones? Go ahead. Is there anybody? I mean, we're going around the room with our
I would say
no.
I would say
not for me. But
I would say if he's all of a sudden is able to scramble and make plays with his feet and keep plays alive at maybe half the rate that Brock does.
I don't think it's not possible. How do I say this? I definitely don't think it's not possible that the Niners could be better with Mac in certain instances than with Brock. But I don't think that the team would ever not play Brock when he could play for Mac, if that makes sense.
No, we'll say it again.
Like, I think there's some situations where Mac might do better than Purdy in certain games or whatever. I'm not saying that Mac can't outplay Brock sometimes, but I don't see the Niners ever not going to Brock, at least this season, if he's healthy. Like, I can't imagine them being like, actually, we're just not going to play Brock because Mac's playing so well. I don't think there's nothing that Mac could do that I think the Niners would then not play Brock Purdy.
I mean, if they average, like, you know, let's say they average 28 points on offense for the rest of the season, they win, I don't know, 5 games, and then this is assuming Purdy doesn't come back because of injury, and Mac just stays on a heater. They win 5 games, and then maybe win a couple playoff games, and he looks great. Purdy's still the starter next year. But I do think that I think if Mac keeps playing like this, there's no need to go back to Purdy. I mean, Purdy, I don't trust him this year with this toe injury. And it's like, why even it's like the replacement level, it's not that different. You know, especially if Purdy is going to be at 80% and Mac Jones is playing like he's playing, there's really no difference. So why risk any further anything with Purdy? Like, you know, it could get to the point of surgery, and it's like all of a sudden, like, off season's lost. It's just messy. But yeah, I mean, Purdy's contract's a little bit more team friendly than it seems in the media.
But not as friendly as Jones. Jones is sitting there at $7 million right now, looking like, you know, it's funny. Eric Branch asked the question, and Mac Jones was like, it's kind of an odd question, but he was like, why'd you sign a 2-year deal, not a 1-year deal? But I mean, it's, you know, right now, I mean, whoever for the Niners insisted on a 1-year deal, give that guy a raise, because that guy basically, you know, who said it wasn't going to be a 1-year deal, it's going to be a 2-year deal. The Niners, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that really like what Mac Jones has done, and they're all like, yeah, Mac Jones is going to be a starter next year somewhere. Really? He's under contract to the 49ers to be the backup to Brock Purdy next year. So he's not going to be anywhere next year unless somebody trades for him. And at $7 million with the way he's playing, if he continues to play at a high level with this 49er team that's clearly flawed with all kinds of injuries, somebody's going to take notice and they're going to say, hey, we'll give you something for him. I mean, I don't know what, but somebody's going to give you something decent for Mac Jones, I guarantee you. And then the question is, do you want that, or do you want to keep him? All right, let's do this. Let's continue going around giving out our game balls, and then we will hit our supers and jet. Who hasn't given a game ball? Rye, you haven't.
Started with JD, and then
you started JD. Go ahead, Danny.
Okay. I'll go out of the box. I'll go to give the scoreboard operator the game ball. No, George Kittle, fantastic touchdown today. What I can't believe at whatever age he is now. What is he, in his 30s? Tiptoeing down the sideline, barely keeping his both feet in bounds at one point, and then the ability to dive off one foot and touch the pylon. 9 catches plus that touchdown. Man, that was inspiring to see that.
That was good. That was nice. Danny or Rye, give me your game ball. Who do you got?
Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a longer game ball, mostly because I just wanted to make this point at some point. But this just I'm not sure if there's going to be a better time. I'm giving the game ball. This is going to be a downer, but to Les Snead, because the Rams went completely all in. Yep. They went completely all in on that Super Bowl. A ton was made of it, trading first-round picks and draft picks and everything left and right to bring in all these guys. They get their Super Bowl. And now you look, and it's like they've completely rebuilt their team with all this young talent. Got this offseason, they decided to get rid of Puka, bring in Devontae Adams. Great deal. And they're stacked, and they've just been drafting so well. And Jared Verse, a complete stud.
You mean Cup? Get rid of Cup.
So yeah, sorry, get rid of Cup. And guess what? This also really sucks for the Niners. It looks like they're going to have a top 10 pick because they made that. I don't know why the Falcons did it. The Falcons trade. They have the Falcons first-round pick, and it was all to move up for Pierce to get another defensive end. So they're looking great. And on the other side, just wanted to, in comparison, we talked jerseys, but let's not even say jerseys. Let's just say this guy is definitely a cornerstone of this Niners team. And I'm going to briefly run through the last 5 drafts for the Niners. And you tell me, Brock Purdy, we understand. I'm going to skip him. Tell me that guy is a cornerstone of this 49ers team. Last 5 drafts. All right. Okay. Mikael Williams, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, Upton Stout, CJ West, Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, Marquise Siegel, Curtis Rourke, Connor Colby, Junior Bergen, Ricky Pearsall, okay, Renardo Green, Pooney, Mustafa, Garendo, Cowing, Kingston, Bethune, Jair Brown, Jake Moody, Cameron Latu, Daryl Luter, Robert Beal, D. Winters, Braden Willis, Ronnie Bell, Jalen Graham, Drake Jackson, Tyrion Davis-Price, Danny Gray, Burford, Sammy Womack, Nick Zakel, Kalia Davis, Castro Fields, then Purdy, Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, Ambry Thomas, Jalen Moore, Lenore, okay, Hufanga, gone, Elijah Mitchell. That's 5 drafts. 5.
A lot of misses in there, man. A lot of high
sounds like my sanitation bill. Jeez.
Yeah. Foundation. I think Renardo Green is a foundation piece. Not too many, though.
Should have had an interception today.
Yeah, not too many. It does illustrate that they've missed on a lot of picks. Go ahead, Kev. Who gets your game ball?
Yeah, I want to give it to Mac, but we already gave it to Mac. I'll give it to B-Rob, Brian Robinson Jr.
I took my guy.
Yeah, I just think he looked great today, and I kind of already made this point, but he's a good back, man, and it's a little change of pace. CMC is great, and he still is great, but it's just a different look, and he's a different style of runner, and I think that just gives the Niners offense a little bit of just a different offense. When they can run the ball through guys, and churn for more yards rather than being a little more finesse and quick with CMC. Not that CMC can't run through people, but yeah, Brian Robinson over 5 yards per carry today. I'll take that all day. Brian Robinson.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to go Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore is getting really close to busting one. I love the fact that this guy takes it up the field with a vengeance, man. There's no soft pedaling it. There's no tiptoeing. He's looking to bust it. And gotten so close. He got really close this week. I think it's coming. So I'll give Sky Moore. Special teams has been a circus for the Niners, but I'll go with Sky Moore. Defensively, I can't. There's nobody I could have gone with. Nobody. Offensively, I could have given it to Kittle, could have given it to Brian Robinson, obviously Mac Jones. But I'll go Sky Moore just because I do appreciate guys who play the game without any fear. And this guy, man, just takes it up in there. And I talked to him at his locker the other day. I go, man, you go really hard, but I go, you're going to get blown up. And he's like, he goes, I do get blown up. I'm like, yeah, well, you kind of do. But we talked about holding on to the football when you get blown up. And I really like Sky Moore and what he's been able to contribute. And I think he's right on the verge of busting one. So I'm really excited about what he's starting to contribute to the team. All right, let's hit our Habbas Law final thought here. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. But let's go to our supers and we'll get through them quickly here. We've got Jackson who says, what the fuck is up with the officiating? So much holding on the Rams and illegal motion. I thought the lack of PI calls. I mean, I thought there was 3 PI calls that went against the Niners. There was also one call that I thought the Niners sideline screwed up. I thought the Rams, on one of those plays, the Ram player stepped out of bounds, and the 49ers couldn't. The Rams ran up to the line of scrimmage and ran the next play before the Niners could challenge it. Did you guys see that? I'm pretty sure the guy stepped out.
Yeah, it looked like he stepped out. I'm with you, and they did. They got right up. It could have been they missed it, and it could have been something that maybe had been caught, but the Rams hustled and got up and ran the play.
When you could see that there was somebody on the Niners sideline that was fried by that, because a couple people on the Niners sideline from the Rams got that playoff before the Niners threw the challenge flag. There was a couple people on the Niners sidelines that were, I can't believe we didn't challenge that.
That communication's got to be on point.
No question. Andre says DBs are horrible in coverage, 0 pass rush. Jalen Walker and James Pierce look like good rushers. Not going after a pass rusher is punting on the season. I hear you. I mean, Jalen Walker to me was the guy. But he was also kind of a tough fit for this offense. For this defense. B. Kirsch said, this is the product you get when Jed is pumping money into soccer and just taking profit on the Niners hosting the Super Bowl. Doesn't feel like he was willing to spend more than being a wild card type team. I can't really speak to that one way or another, but I appreciate that. Here we go again, 77 gifted 20, the Krug Show membership. Oh, there you go. Welcome. Thanks for being a Krug Show member. Appreciate you. Claudaddy Arcades in the house. What's up, Claudaddy? He says Gifford made their tight ends look elite today. Where's Nick Martin? One would think Martin's athleticism would allow him to take a few snaps away from Giff. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, geez. It was so obvious that they wanted to go at Gifford, and the Niners from the base just put Gifford on them and put Gifford on their tight ends, and they just made play after play after play, and they were hunting Gifford. I mean, seriously, they really were. Rory McPherson, 49er season is over. All right. Rez Thug 707. Larry, who is to blame for this D line? Next year, they are a Nick Bosa injury away from disaster again. I mean, the 49ers wanted to be really deep on the defensive line. I mean, it's amazing, really, as we've gone throughout this regime. If there's one thing that's really consistent is that at the beginning of the regime, they had almost 2 D lines. They were the deepest, best D line there is. And every year it's gotten a little worse, little worse, little worse, little worse, little worse. You know what I mean? It's like, it's to the point now where they literally, guys like me were saying, hey, go trade for Michael Clemens, go find, trade 7th round picks for just bodies at this point, Arden Key, because they're so decimated. And yet 2017, they had DeForest Buckner, they had Eric Armstead, they had D Ford, they had Nick Bosa, and then they had a whole secondary line of really good players behind those guys. I mean, it's amazing how depleted their line has gotten. Okay, so we got that one. We got this one. Leo says, who's going to step up and lead? Step the F up someone. Maybe Danny will lead us. We got this one from Mendez. He said, this is what happens when you don't make a trade. Stafford had too much time. Lynch doesn't know what he's doing. Now the defense needs a private meeting. I mean, seriously. I mean, it wasn't like people I've heard a lot of explanations for why the Niners didn't do things, and they all make sense. Hey, they've had injuries and it's not their year and it costs too much and all these things. At the end of the day, that's all fine. But bottom line is the most complete novice of fans who doesn't know anything could look at this team and be like, they needed help and they just didn't get any. And now we're going to see what it looks like without that help. And they're just naked. I mean, they're naked out there. There's no way for them to defend. They got young DBs that are going to absolutely, between now and the end of the season, lose their confidence because they're going to get roasted because there's no rush up front. Sells surprise faces. Time for a new GM, an actual competent one at that. Either draft busts or overpays for talent that is injury prone. John Lynch is going to get criticized quite a bit, I have a feeling, in the last month of this year. Sells surprised face. You guys are telling me that keeping the picks with their draft history was a good idea? Trade it for an established player, a better player. Yeah, I mean, that's where, you want to retain your picks, that's fine. But then when I can bust out a list of 18 picks in the first 3 rounds over the last 9 drafts, the Niners are averaging 2 misses in the first 3 rounds over their entire tenure here. They've had 18 misses in the first 3 rounds in 9 drafts. So that's 2 a year. You only have 3. You only have 27 total picks in the first 3 rounds on paper, and you've missed 18 of them. That's not good.
I have a feeling if your name was not John Lynch, but John Jacobs or something, probably
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
Yeah, probably be out of a job.
Nobody else knows the John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
That's my name too, Larry.
His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, people always shout, "There goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith." Da, 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 da. All right. Bill M says Kev has no idea what we're talking about. Like, literally none. I mean, we might as well just be speaking Swahili. Bill M says, "Where's Chase Lucas, Martin, Watkins today?" Yeah, seriously. I mean, I would have loved to have seen some of the young guys get out there. I don't know about Chase Lucas. Did he not play in this game? Maybe he didn't get a chance. I didn't see it. Michael says, letting Hufanga go was a mistake. Oh my God. Hufanga's had a huge year. Playing at an all-pro level in Denver, Mustafa is more focused on big hits than coverage. Jair Brown is just average. I hear you. I mean, in hindsight, looking at the way that Huff has played this year for Denver, I don't know if you look at those numbers, but he's been sacking the quarterback, passes defensed. I mean, he's just absolutely been huge. So, yeah, in hindsight, they miss Huff badly. Anthony Catania in the house. What's up, Anthony? And by the way, Anthony Catania is from Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, and Claw Daddy Arcades is from Claw Daddy Arcades. And you can follow. He's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades for a location near you. And also, they got a brand new location in Capitola Mall, brand new location in Visalia Mall. And as far as Sharp Corners, they're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. He says, embarrassing game. This defense has no ability to turn the ball over, and this offense is slow. We need speed. I'm still convinced Jed stopped Lynch from making a move. Yeah, I mean, we're never going to get the answer to that, right? Because the last thing Jed and Kyle are going to do is throw Jed under the bus. The last thing John and Kyle are going to do is throw Jed under the bus. That would not be smart. Harry Johnson says Sorensen would have been proud today. Trash D. Great. Let's leave poor Sorensen alone. Harry Johnson, can we stop overhyping Mustafa? Mustafa has not, and that's a good point, guys. Mustafa has played poorly.
He hasn't played very well this year.
No, he has not looked like the same player this year. And neither is Dom Pooney, by the way. Dom Pooney last year was great. This year, Dom Pooney is absolute ASS.
It makes you wonder if his knee injury, if he's like playing through pain or something. Because remember, he got his knee buckled up in the preseason, and that knee injury, I don't know if you guys remember seeing it it was on a kickoff, or it was on a field goal attempt. I think his knee like buckled completely in. It looked almost like the Brandon Ayuk injury. I thought he tore. I thought his knee got blown up.
I know. I thought it too. he just kind of caved in, and he hasn't been the same ever since, and I'm not sure why. Nevix Media says Purdy being out gives Kyle an out if the Niners miss the playoffs. I don't see Brock returning this season. We shall see. It sounds like anything could happen. I mean, they're saying he's going to return every week, but it seems like one of those things where every week is it gamesmanship, or is he actually on the verge of returning? Sell's surprised face says, I can play better than Gifford. Okay. Look at that. Now people are boasting. Joseph Ernberg, is he able to dress? If he's able to dress as a backup, he should start. Talking about Brock Purdy. Terrence Sullivan said, at least we're not the Bills. Embarrassing. Yeah, the Bills got just drubbed today by the Miami Dolphins. I mean, seriously, bad day for Buffalo. Thomas Selman says, I'm happy B-Rob is getting the ball. Good back. Once he gets on a roll, he's hard to stop. Ran the same way at Bama. Yeah, I like B-Rob. I think B-Rob has been good. If anything, I'd like to see him get the ball a bit more. We get this one from Harry Johnson. Why waste an elevation on Valdez? Givens is trash. Well, they didn't waste an elevation on Valdez. He didn't get elevated today off the practice squad. I mean, I guess he did, right? He got elevated, but then he wasn't up on game day. So yeah, no, he was. You're right. He did get the elevation on Saturday, and you only get 3, and then they didn't use him. Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Terrence Sullivan says, speed it up so the Rams can score more touchdowns. Maybe rest the D. Well, what? Yeah, I mean, once you're behind by multiple scores, your game plan of playing ball control and dominating time of possession kind of goes out the window. I mean, once the Niners fell down 21-0, the ball control plan was shot. Devin Gregory says Mac always runs the hurry up offense well. It baffles me why Kyle never includes the hurry up offense when multiple teams do it and have success. Yeah, I mean it's worth discussing at least. Do we get this one? We might not get speed. Yeah, we got that one. Okay, now we got this one. We got this one from Gold Towel. He's already show me toughness. He's probably talking about Jones. We got this one from Thomas Selman. Tonight showed how valuable McKell and Collins are. Yeah, I mean, definitely running inside. You can run inside against the Niners a lot easier without those guys. Roosters sucks something. It says Papa Dan Warriors post game, your channel tonight. Okay. God, man, this is not exactly brought to you by Warreners. Oh my God. I mean, that's not an SI Wildcat education right there. Rooster. Papa Dan Warriors post game, your channel tonight, Kay. I mean, what the heck kind of a sentence is that?
He's asking me if I'm doing a post game on the Warriors tonight.
I know. I mean,
how about this? They're up 105 to 78 with 3:50 to go. So they've got
and quick plug when the Krueger show ends. Dubs OT is going to be beginning over on the KBR YouTube stream as well. So
really,
stay tuned for that. I'm hanging out here at Levi's Crew.
Oh my God!
No walkout tonight for the two of us. I'm gonna switch channels, and I'm gonna be right on KBR.
That is awesome. With who?
OT.
Just you?
It'll be me and Kyle Haar tonight. But yeah, we'll be taking calls and on YouTube and doing the full show tonight. Been watching the game here, talking to you guys, taking notes, ready to roll. So quick plug.
Roosters, go over there.
Timing's going to sync up beautifully. The timing's going to sync up beautifully for the end of this show and the beginning of that
There
one.
you go. Go over there, Roosters. I'm not doing a show tonight.
Rykel says $1.99. There you go. Diaz Boys highlights says this offense is missing speed at running back. Number 31 needs reps. Is that Garendo? Wow, I don't know about that. To me, Garendo is pretty much I don't know what to make of Guerrero, but
They got to make Guerrero. He's useless on the offense. Try him with his speed and power. Try him at edge. See if he can learn the edge position, because he's not going to play. And I'm being facetious, obviously, but why is this guy even on the team? I mean, I don't even understand this.
Let's everybody final thought. Let's go around the room. Final thought before we bolt. JD, we'll start with you. What you got a final thought on this one?
Yeah, I mean, final thought for me is ever forward. You got to win next week against Arizona. I think the two most important games left on the schedule are the home game against the Panthers and the home game against the Bears, because the Bears are now a team that the Niners trail in the wild card race for that final spot. So you need those two plus Tennessee, and then another one somewhere. And, two if you can. And one of those two that I consider to be the true 50-50s are Arizona next week down in the desert, and the game coming up Thanksgiving weekend in Cleveland. So it becomes a bounce back. I mean, you've got to think that the Cardinals they got embarrassed today. Multiple defensive touchdowns for Seattle. They're playing unbelievable football. So it is going to be one of those bounce back type games for them, I think, after getting embarrassed. So I do think the Cardinals, who have been tough on the Niners and competitive against the Niners in this Jonathan Gannon era, I think they're going to have to. Don't look at what you saw today from the Cardinals and think that that's what you're going to get next week if you're the 49ers. So I still see 4 or 5 more wins on the schedule ahead. That's my final thought. Don't let this deter anything. Go get back on track next week, beat the Panthers on Monday Night Football, and then you're feeling really good about where this season can be for making the playoffs.
JD, we'll let you get on with your Dubs OT, and I'll be listening on the drive home. I'm going to beat you back to Walnut Creek, my friend. You know that.
You are tonight. You are tonight, my man. We'll talk soon. Yep. Thanks.
Right. There you go. The great JD. Danny, your final thought.
Yeah,
sounds good. Have a good night. No, I'm just joking, Danny. I was just kidding, Danny. Go ahead.
You got one more super there, by the way. You're going to need to address there. Or a couple supers that came in. Anyway, I would say with JD, the winning 4 or 5, I think they've got 2 losses on the schedule as I look at it that look like losses for sure to me, and that's Indy and the last game against Seattle. Depends also. It is a week-to-week league, and you don't know who's going to get injured, right? I mean, the Rams, as great as they're looking, they're really one injury away from Jimmy Garoppolo, and that could be disaster for the team.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you never know when these injuries come. That's the other reason why I was hoping the Niners would add a piece or two, because you just don't know. I mean, you could wind up at the end of the year going up against the Rams. They could have no Stafford. You could be going up against the Lions. The Lions had Jared Goff the other day sacked 5 times. Their line's not very good. Their backup quarterback's Kyle Allen. I mean, Detroit's one of the best teams. So it's like you just never know. So anyway, but go ahead, Danny. Finish your thought.
Yeah, no, that's really it. I think they've got 4 wins. I think the next 4 are winnable if they just take them week by week. You really the 3 games, then you get the bye, and then you get Tennessee at home. So you got Arizona next week, and then who's after that? Is it
Cleveland? I think it's Cleveland.
No, Cleveland's later. I think it's
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina, and then
they're playing well.
Cleveland.
They lost today, but
So just take it week by week. This is a week by week league this year. There's no dominant team. Nothing is a surprise when teams get upset. I mean, Buffalo getting beat badly today by Miami is crazy. So
last week, Green Bay lost to Carolina. Minnesota got a win last week against Detroit. I mean, anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, and look at Baltimore. They're starting to pick it up. They've won 3 in a row, and so they started 1-5. Now they're 4-5. So it's just, I don't think
it's the way you play the day you play.
Yeah.
It's just you just never know how it's.
I
gonna
don't
go.
think they're a team that's going to go anywhere this year, like Ryan said. I just think they're if they get into the playoffs, they might get a win. They'd be lucky if they get 2. It just doesn't seem like the team with no pass rush. I mean, today was so obvious that they are so bad on defense. The front, they just had. I mean, Stafford just sat back there and could just, it's like it reminded me of that when they throw at the moving targets and those little, those little off-season things, and those guys are throwing at those fake things. The older guys that are retired and they're throwing at the moving targets.
There's no pass rush at all.
No pass rush at all. It's just,
Yeah.
It's just like, just sit back there and chuck it, So,
Danny, NorCal Sports Network. When do you go live next?
We'll go live this week, probably Monday night, tomorrow night.
That's good.
We're going to be we'll be covering off-season baseball, quite a bit of it, and be putting out some videos with that too. So check out the videos, and appreciate you guys.
NorCal Sports Network. It's got the California state flag as the on the avatar. Check it out. Danny, have a great day.
Thanks. Hey,
Appreciate you. Rye, final thought. You got a final thought on this one?
Not particularly. It's just I kind of view every game they have left on the schedule outside of the Titans as like somewhere in between like a 55% chance of them winning or like a 45% chance of them winning. So it's like somehow they just need to come out of this 4-3. I look at the next 3 games. First of all, the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett are much better. Today was like, if you look at their schedule, today was literally their only stinker of the season. Every other game they've played, they've been in it. They beat the Cowboys by 10, lost to the Packers by 4, lost to the Colts by 4, lost to the Titans. That's pretty bad, but lost by 1. Lost to the Seahawks by 3, lost to the Niners by 1, then 1 versus the Panthers, 1 versus the Saints. So they're pretty frisky. Brissett's a lot better. So I honestly, I think it's like 55% chance the Niners win next week. I think it's just important for them to go 2-1 into the bye. So that means Cardinals, Panthers, Browns. Cardinals, Panthers. I think they'll probably win both those games. At Browns scares me. We've been here long enough. They've got a good D. I mean,
Schwartz.
Their quarterback is god awful. He throws it like 4 yards down the field. But I could just see Judkins just running all over this team and this defense, and Schwartz completely, like, if there's one guy in the league that just dominates Shanahan, it's Schwartz for whatever reason. He just dominates them. So that would be super frustrating. But then they got to bye. That's probably the point when maybe we see Brocky Boy, and what a nice little ease back playing the Titans. So that it's all is possible. Rams and Seahawks are both guaranteed. One of them's guaranteed a loss next week, so they're not completely out of it.
Good to see you, bro. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace out.
The great Rye. A couple more supers. Terrence Sullivan says, we finally beat the Pacers. LOL. Okay. Rochelle says, Krueger, that's why 49ers did not make trades, and you know it. Okay. Easy. Don't get all testy with me there. Boxing fan times 4, is Demo overrated or not being used correctly?
I think Demo wasn't a great season.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game for him, but I think he's had a pretty good year. And Mike Miller says, disagree, Larry. I don't think our young DBs are it. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll say this. They're really not it without a pass rush. But, yeah, I hear you. I thought Mustafa was better last year than this year. I thought Renardo Green was looking bad a few weeks ago, but now I think he's starting to look good. So it's not linear. Right. It's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Today you look good. Tomorrow you don't look so good. It's just kind of the way it is. It's not just a direct shot. Oh, you know what? You got your experience. Now you're great. I mean, there are players like that. They're called Hall of Famers. And these players are not that. So it's just going to have to be a week to week thing. But I will say this, a lot of young DBs will look an awful lot better when you have some heat up front than they do when you don't. and just take that into consideration. Anyway, that is going to do it for us, Kev. I'll give you the final word. What is your final thought?
Besides the thought that I just definitely need a haircut really bad. My head is growing at a massive rate. No, I'm just kidding.
Look at that curly.
Yeah, no, I mean, this game, we learned a few things for sure. I think, as the season goes on, every game it develops the story of the team. And this was a game where the Niners were facing a good opponent, and they haven't faced a good opponent since like a real solid opponent, like a contender level opponent since the Bucs. And the Niners have some good wins under their belt, like week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks, but that's a different team than now. This is a completely different team with a lot of injuries and a lot of different players playing. So we learned that the Niners offense can hang. I think Mac Jones is slinging it, and the offense looks hot, and they're getting guys back. And Mac's delivering, and then Brock will come back. It's that whole story is playing out, but I feel confident in the 49ers offense. But today was the death of confidence for me in the 49ers defensive line. There is just no way that this team is going to be able to produce any pass rush against any competent offensive line for the rest of the season. It was frustrating to watch. I mean, there was plays where not a single guy had a effing shot at getting off of their block, and they were just standing there. Like, Stafford could have just joked around if he wanted to. He had someone open, and he just makes the throw. But he could have just stood there for 20 seconds, and nothing was going to happen to him because the Niners were not getting off those blocks. It's truly concerning to me, and I feel like that's what we're learning about this 49ers defensive line. Not having Alfred Collins definitely hurt because he's a guy who can really rip off blocks and make a play here or there. CJ West was just not doing it. Kalia Davis wasn't doing it.
They miss Mikell. They miss Mikell today for sure.
Kevin Givens for a pass rusher isn't pass rushing, man. It's just, yeah, it was a tough sight. So that's what I think we learned today. And those are my final thoughts.
The 49ers don't have enough. And it's funny. There'll be people that'll be like, they didn't make a trade because they didn't have enough. And then other people will say, well, they didn't have enough because they didn't make a trade. It's like, they didn't have enough because they didn't make a trade. They didn't make a trade because they didn't have enough. You see how that works? We can kind of play that game back and forth. But they needed help, bottom line, and they didn't get it. And now you can say that they can say they didn't wave the white flag, but defensively they did. They did. They absolutely did. They waved the white flag. They needed help up front. They didn't get any help up front. And look at the results. Look at the results today. They could not speed up Stafford. It's not going to change next week against Brissett. So they're gonna take their lumps a little bit. They're gonna take their lumps, and when they say there's a lot of they don't believe in us. Did you believe in yourself? You know what I mean? It's like they didn't believe in us. Did you believe in your own team? Because you didn't act like you did. You acted like you didn't. And then you needed help, but you didn't get it. And now here's the results. And you wind up in a game like this. And I said it the other day. I'm like, hey man, you didn't get any pass rush help. Stafford's going to hang half 100 on you. And he nearly did. Terrence Sullivan says, Larry, Kevin reminds me of my son. Do great, Kevin. There you go. Well, wait, we got another one.
Hope you have a good son.
Yeah. And Joseph Ernberg, why hope for the playoffs when we get cooked first game? Yeah, well, there's that too. It doesn't seem like it's a down year for the NFL and it's a down year for the conference and it's wide open. Still doesn't mean you're going to get there with what the Niners have, which is no pass rush. You don't get anywhere with no pass rush, especially with a bunch of young DBs. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Thanks to Sleeper and thanks to Habbas Law. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krueger Show. Hit the store if you want to buy some gear. We're going to have some new T-shirts hopefully before the end of the year. I see balloons in the background.
Did you see that? That was crazy. I did this and then a bunch of balloons.
What? Wait, if I do that, do I get balloons? What happened? How'd you do that? What the heck was that? Why'd you get booed?
I should say, check us out on all social media platforms. Check us out on TikTok, on Facebook, and follow us on all audio, wherever you get your audio podcast. Make sure to leave a comment and a rating.
We have one more super here from Dan Coachimilio. It says, Dave Lombardi for 49er president. He knows everything. Wow, that's incredible. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of you. I'm back tomorrow for Niners Nightly on KMBR at 6. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. streaming with Damon Bruce in the morning. Grant and I usually stream on Monday afternoons. You can catch me at Niners Nightly at 6 p.m. tomorrow night on KMBR. And then possibly after the Monday night game with Dieter. We usually stream on Mondays, and if Dieter can go, we'll be streaming again on Monday night. So that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great night. Thanks for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get it.